Kunja Vihar Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. You know the words? Jamuna Tira Vana Chadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivedakacharya Astatara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Gaur Premanandi. Part 2. And some of you weren't here for part 1. But it's recorded. so you can hear the recording if you like. And there's going to be 6 parts because Radhastami is some days away. So, a little bit of a review. Yesterday, we heard a narration of during different days of Lord Brahma, there's different appearances of Krishna and the different appearances of Radharani. We heard about Radharani's different appearances according to different days of Brahma. Yeah? You all know. I'll remind you what you already know. Krishna appears once in each day of Brahma. And when Krishna appears, Radha appears. So once in a day of Brahma. And different days of Brahma, just like the weather. Some days and some days and some days the weather is like this, and some days a little different, some days and a little different. So when Krishna appears, there's a basic pattern, but there's some variations. And similarly, when Radha appears, there's a basic pattern, but there's some differences. And from Matsya Purana, from the Bhagavad Purana, and from other sources, there are different narrations according to different days of Brahma. So that's established. Then we heard a very interesting little statement of how Radharani appeared according to Rupa Goswami. So, are there persons in the room that don't know who is Rupa Goswami and you would like a little introduction to who is Rupa Goswami? You know who is Rupa Goswami? No idea. Okay. You know who is Krishna. So, when Krishna appears towards the end of the third of the 4 yugas, and at the end of Dwarpa Yuga, Krishna appears. And when Krishna departs, it marks the end of that yuga and the beginning of the next one. And the next one is ours, Kali Yuga. So Krishna himself appears, there's details, but Krishna himself appears to teach the understandings of Bhagavad Gita that he gave in the previous yuga that people in Kali Yuga won't be able to understand properly, and the rest of the Vedas. So he comes to teach the conclusion of the Vedas by his own example, and that person is Lord Chaitanya. So who is Lord Chaitanya? He's Krishna himself teaching how to be a devotee of Krishna. So he's in the mood of his own devotee, but Krishna himself. And the devotee that he's in the mood of is the best of his devotees, Srimati Radharani. See, he's in a male form, but he's exhibiting pastimes in the bhava, or the ecstasy, and the complexion, or dyuti, of Radha, golden complexion. So one of his names is Gora Hari. Hari, who is golden in complexion, or Gauranga, who has golden limbs. Golden avatar. Krishna himself teaching the ways of devotional service. So, one of Lord Chaitanya's intimate associates, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, and Vyasadeva compiled, along with the rest of Mahabharata and the rest of the Vedas. So similarly, Lord Chaitanya didn't write books, but he instructed disciples and instructed them to write books according to the teachings he gave them on bhakti. And one of the foremost of them was Rupa, R-U-P-A, Rupa Goswami. And after instructing him extensively, he sent him to Vrindavan with 2 assignments. Rupa Goswami had 2 main assignments. Write books on the teachings I've given you, particularly the teachings around bhakti. And the second, restore the lost places of Krishna's pastimes. For example, Lord Chaitanya visited Vrindavan. And when he visited Vrindavan, the location of Radhakund was unknown. It had been lost in antiquity. But one day, he took a bath in an agricultural field. There was a pond of water in an agricultural field, and he declared, this is Radhakund. So he rediscovered Radhakund by his spiritual acumen. And he sent the 6 Goswamis, headed by Rupa, to do something very similar. Places that had been lost. To restore them. And then Vrindavan that we visit today has those places, many of those places known because of their work. And there were others that did something similar. So those 2 assignments, restore places of Krishna's pastimes and write books. And one of those books that he wrote was Lalita Madhava. Lalita, it was a drama. It wasn't fiction. It wasn't Harry Potter or William Shakespeare or, it wasn't fiction. It was history. And the history of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and then Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan, and it's the format of the writing is very similar to anything that's scriptural. It's like question answer. Standard format. Question, answer. Oh, what about this? Answer. So knowledge is disclosed by that, like teacher-student. The student asks, the teacher answers. So that was the format of Lalita Madhava. And in one section of Lalita Madhava, we were discussing this yesterday, this is review. There was a description of Radharani's appearance different than these other narrations. And the narration that we heard included when Putana was killed, Krishna's first demon that Krishna killed was Putana, female. She came to poison him. And instead of poisoning him, she was killed. So when she was lying in a field, very humongous body, because she was a witch, and the shape-changing power that she had, instead of being a beautiful, looked like the goddess of fortune personality, that's how she got into the inner chamber where little Krishna was lying in a crib, because she just was so astoundingly beautiful and ornamented and attired, and they just let her in without no questions. She didn't need a pass, she didn't need a password, just came right in. And when Krishna killed her, according to Lalita Madhava, Purnamasi found 5 girls she had been carrying. And I didn't give the detail, but here's the detail. The detail goes like this. She was under orders of Kamsa. Go find the 8th child of Devaki. And I know your specialty is killing babies, but any girls, you kidnap the girls, bring them back, and any boys, you kill them. So she was searching for the 8th child of Devaki, because we didn't know where to go. So she one of the places that she went was the Vindhya Hills. Vindhya, it's a long story. I'm getting too involved in a long story just to review. But without the details. Vindhya, just like Parvati was the daughter of the Himalayas, right? The second time Uma became Parvati, the Parvat, the mountain, Parvat mountain in the Himalayas. So Radha, according to this description of Rupa Goswami, one of the days of Brahma, Radha appeared as the daughter of the Vindhya hills. And there were 5 other girls along with Radha, and when Putana was searching for little babies, she found these 6 girls. And so she picked them up. Her assignment was kidnap them, bring them here to Mathura. So she was on her way with some little girls, little children, and Radha was one of them. So this is a review from yesterday. There was a question, who were those other girls? Here's some of the verses. Is it true that when the witch was killed, you took Radha from her lap? Right? This is just a little section. And Purnamasi is Yogamaya personified in Krishna's Leela. Now, I took not only Radha, but 5 other girls, that makes 6. So there was a question yesterday, what are the names of the other 5 girls? Those of you that were with us yesterday, remember that question. So here's the verse with the Sanskrit. Purnamasi said, they were Radha's moon-faced friend Lalita, that's one of the 5. Chandravali's beautiful friend Padma, that's second. Bhadra, who acts auspiciously, Bhadra means auspicious. And auspicious Shaibya, and splendidly and cheerful Shama. So these are all gopis, and they're in 2 divisions. Radha has her group of gopis, Chandravali has her group of gopis, and so Putana was carrying these 2 groups of representatives of these 2 groups, a total of 6 girls. And then there's more. If you want to know the more, just check your email box or WhatsApp box or however you circulate information. If you don't get that information, check with somebody here that lives here, and you can get the whole section from Lalita Madhava where all this is discussed. That's a review topic. There's another review topic. There was mention that Mukhara was related to Radha. There was some technical, who is she? So Mukhara was the mother of Radharani's mother. And then Radharani's mother had Radha as a daughter. So Mukhara is the grandmother, maternal grandmother. Kirtida was the mother. So Kirtida, who was Kirtida's husband? Vrishabhanu. Yes? Mataji, do you know? You don't know. Okay, this is Braja Leela, Braja Katha. So, Radharani had a mother and a father, Vrishabhanu and Kirtida. And Kirtida's mother was Mukhara. So that question came up yesterday. And so I said I would get the detail. Here's some of the detail. Here's a place very near to Radhakund that has the name of her village, Mukharai. And if you can read Hindi, you can see in this archway, that's what it says on the archway. Mukharai is the name of the village of Mukhara. And as you enter under this archway, you'll see there's large trees on the way to visit a temple. Before you get to a temple, there's a place where it's Mukhara Kund. This is photographs of that place on a quiet day. And then there's a temple. And in the temple, there's a young girl in the center that's Radharani. And on one side, at Radharani's right side, or our left side, that's her grandmother, Mukhara. And on her left side, or our right side, that's her mother, Kirtida Sundari, very beautiful mother. And then that's one altar, and here's another altar. There's a Banki Bihari temple in this village, and there's also if you look closely, those of you a little familiar, in the lower right corner, that's Rupa Goswami. The lower right corner, it's a pencil drawing. And then in the far left bottom, that's a Panchatattva painting. And then there's Krishna painting. And then in the center, there's a deity of Giriraj. And Giriraj is nicely decorated. And it's winter time, you can tell it's winter time because the deities have these nice woolen garments on, etc. Because it gets kind of cold in Vrindavan in the winter and really hot in the summer. And here's a Shila. Shila just means stone. It's not a Shalagram Shila, it's just a stone. And Bhajaniya means it's used for bhajan. So it is said that if you take that little rock that's on the top and hit the stone in different places, it makes different notes. Pretty simple way of making different notes to accompany music. It's the singing of songs glorifying Radharani. Using that stone, the Bhajaniya Shila. And one final nice little photograph. This is every year in this same Mukharai village, there's a dance performance. And the dance performance, as you see, there's the history is when Mukhara heard that a granddaughter was born to her daughter Kirtida, she was so happy, she took a chariot wheel. Speaking of simple people, the village people, she took a chariot wheel and placed oil lamps on the chariot wheel, balanced the chariot wheel on her head, and started dancing. So that was a long time ago. And to this day, they have an annual festival on Radhastami that looks like what you see in the photograph here. Some ladies balancing live, burning oil lamps and dancing and dancing and dancing in honor of Radharani's appearance. Nice, yes? That's a little plus on top of who is Mukhara. Those are the two questions from yesterday. Who is Mukhara, grandmother of Radha? Here's a detail, further detail. There was a point in time when Kamsa was still on the rampage because he hadn't found Krishna, but he was such a terrible person. Mukhara was concerned for the safety of her granddaughter. So Mukhara did two things. That Mukharai village, she moved from that place and took Radharani and went to another place a little further away. And then she, the grandmother, according to this particular source, and this particular day of Brahma, she arranged for her marriage to Abhimanyu for Radha's protection. So Abhimanyu was one of the villagers in Vrindavan. He lived in Yavat. If you look at a map of Vrindavan, it's kind of north-central. And not so far away from her ancestral home, Radharani's ancestral home. And not far away from Krishna's ancestral home. That means Nanda Maharaj's home. So that's where she lived much of her life in Vrindavan as the so-called wife to the so-called husband, Abhimanyu, so-called because reality is different. Anyway, so now we're ready for today. And we're going to be discussing, you see, what we discussed yesterday, Radha Tattva, and the Radha's different appearances. There were 5 of them. So now we're going to hear about her childhood pastimes. One of the childhood pastimes we heard yesterday. Now we're going to hear more detail. So after she was born, there's an arrangement, a narration of how Narada Muni had her darshan, Radharani's darshan. So Radharani, he had heard that Krishna had appeared in Vrindavan, and he knew what that meant. He wanted to have darshan of Krishna in the earthly realm, because Narada Muni has the capacity to travel anywhere in the material or the spiritual realm. He's a very gifted person, and he does many, many, many things. So he came, and he had darshan of Krishna. There's Krishna in a crib, and there's Nanda and Yashoda and some of her assistants. So seeing Krishna in a crib, he put 2 and 2 together and came up with 4. If Krishna appeared, Radharani is also going to appear. So he wanted to find, where is Radharani, where is Radharani? So he went from home to home. He didn't say, is Radha in your home? He just said he was playing the role of a sannyasi. If there's any newborn children in your home, I'd like to give my blessings. So they were very happy to have a sannyasi visit their home and offer blessings. But as he went from place to place, there was no Radharani. He wasn't unwilling to give blessings to other children, but finally, when he came to the home of Vrishabhanu, Vrishabhanu didn't say he had a daughter. He didn't say that he did have a daughter. He said, we have a son, and we can give your blessings to our son. His name is Sridham. Radharani has an older brother. Sridham is the older brother's name. So he said, very nice, but I'm particularly looking for daughters. So Narada was about to leave, and when he's about to leave, Vrishabhanu whispered in Kirtida's ear and said, you know what? We do have a newborn daughter, but she's blind, deaf, and dumb. So we were embarrassed, and we didn't want to trouble you with a blind, deaf, and dumb daughter, but because you're a sadhu, maybe you can make her well again. And Narada, without reservation, said, yes. But then when he went into the room and he saw the blind, deaf, and dumb Radha by the side of Kirtida, he said, I know some special mantras. I know some special procedures. I may be able to help her become well again. But you have to allow me to be alone. Oh, yes, yes, yes. What paraphernalia do you need? So he wanted to worship Radharani. And so they got the paraphernalia, and there she was. And he closed the door, locked it from the inside, and immediately he began worshipping her just like a deity, because it wasn't just a deity, it was Radharani. And literally he worshipped her and offered various articles to her, and she still didn't open her eyes, still didn't make any sound. It appeared to be the same. So he knew what to do. Because Narada is a spiritually elevated soul. He said, here's what you should do. You have a festival in your home, and by that festival, auspiciousness will be created, and then your daughter may be able to behave normally again. So they liked the idea. He said, especially invite Nanda and Yashoda, and make sure they bring their newborn son also. So they had a big festival. And sure enough, when everyone was busy with the festival, Krishna kind of started sneaking away. And as he snuck away, because everyone was busy with the festival, he managed to find the room where Radharani was. And when he found the room where Radharani was, he walked over to the edge of her baby crib, and he peeked inside. So Krishna saw Radharani, and immediately Radharani opened her eyes, and she more than opened her eyes, she made a loud baby sound. She cried, seeing Krishna finally, because that's why she was not saying anything, hearing anything, registering anything, because it wasn't Krishna. But when Krishna came, Narada knew. When Krishna came, she acted as if she was quite normal. And when she made this loud sound, people were, her mother and father particularly, were very happy. Oh, baby sound coming from her Radharani's room. And Narada's mission was now accomplished. He reunited Radha and Krishna, and Radha was now willing to act in an external manner as if everything was all right. Because everything was all right, she was with Krishna once again. In the material world, but with Krishna once again. So as a little girl, little girls do what little girls do. They play, and she would sometimes decorate herself nicely with flowers. Sometimes Radharani would play with the cows or the calves and make the sounds of the peacocks. Sometimes she would engage as if hiding and making some special messages for Krishna. And one of the things that young girls like to do is they like to spend time with their other girlfriends or other sakhis. And so that's what they did. They spent time doing what, like what Krishna did with the cowherd boys, as little boyfriends. There's whole chapter 3 and chapter 4, mainly chapter 4 and 5. Krishna would just play and play and play and play and play. So the girls would play and do little girl things. Sometimes making garlands, sometimes this, sometimes that. And the forest animals were intrigued also by their joy. Now one fine day, Durvasa Muni came to Vrindavan. And while the girls were playing, absorbed in their play, Durvasa Muni came at the palace of Kirtida and Vrishabhanu. Now there's two different versions. I'll recite the version that's a standard version, and then I'll recite the one that I'm more familiar with, besides the standard version. Durvasa Muni has a reputation. You know what that reputation is? He's a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. So he's easily angered and easily pleased. And if he's pleased, he can give many nice benedictions. And if he's angered, watch out. That's his reputation. So generally people run for the hills when Durvasa Muni comes. Because he's like, he's an intense guy. He's a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. So the young girls, her friends, they ran away when Durvasa Muni came. But Durvasa Muni was very pleased to see Radharani, not only that she didn't run away, but she was very, very beautiful. And so at the home, at the palace, Durvasa Muni indicated he was hungry, so Radharani prepared some sweet rice. And here it gives a description of what the ingredients were on top of the sweet rice or in the sweet rice. And it was fantastic. It was so fantastic that he was pleased and he gave her a benediction. Here's the benediction. Whatever your hands touch, whatever you prepare will taste like nectar. Then he gave a second. What lady wouldn't want this? Whoever tastes the food cooked by you will have long life, strength, beauty, and fame, which will increase day by day. Pretty good. So she was happy. Her mother was very happy, and especially Mother Yashoda was very happy, because she and Kirtida, Radha's mother, were very good friends. And so when Kirtida said, "Guess what happened? Durvasa Muni gave this benediction to my daughter," and Yashoda immediately did the math and said, "Can you make an arrangement for your daughter every day to come to my home and cook for Krishna?" Because she wanted those benedictions. And as she came every day, cooking for Krishna, naturally Mother Yasoda started developing some affection for her. Naturally. And there's the place, there's a photograph of Nanda Maharaj's ancestral home, called Nandishwara or Nandagram, either. The big dome is where the temple is. And she was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if my son and Kirtida's daughter would become husband and wife? Because in Vedic culture at that time, it was common. A young boy, young girl before puberty, before they understood what male-female thing is, they would be married. So that when they grew up and they didn't live together, just they were officially married, big ceremony, and he's your wife and he's your husband. So they wouldn't have to go through that thing of who or she going to be. It was nice. It was done with horoscopes and all kinds of careful consideration. So Yashoda was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if my son and Radha were married? So she did what was also a custom, and many of you know the custom, haldi. It's some powder with turmeric and so forth, and she mixed some and placed the turmeric on the back of Radha's hand, which is what one does when there's a betrothal for marriage. It was fun. It was with laughter, but when Radharani was walking back home from Nandagram back to her parents' home, she started thinking, what are my parents going to say? They see all this haldi on my hand. So she started getting an anxiety, and there was this pond, Pukur, and she washed her hand in the pond. This is the place. Pili Pukur is the name of the place. Pili means yellow. And this is during one season, and here's another season. It's got some slimy stuff around the surface of the water. And here's where the water is down a little bit, here's where the water is up a little bit, and here's the sign indicating what it is. It's Pili Pukur. So she, Radha, with lots of green parrots, she washed her hands in this Pukur so that when she reached her home, her mother wouldn't be upset. What's going on here? But you know how it happens, the gossip, and the mother understood that this was the plan of Yashoda. So in village life, they would consult Purnamasi, the guru for the families. And Purnamasi, she is Yogamaya personified, and Yogamaya personified Purnamasi said, no way. She didn't say it like that. There was no way, because the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, as if not eternally connected as Shakti and Shaktiman, but there's a Leela. in their childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, where Krishna and Radha associate, although not formally married. And Purnamasi knew of the pastime because she was the orchestrator of the pastime. So she gave some nice excuse. They're too young, and let's think about this. She put it off. There's a very nice description, very interesting description. One time, Krishna was passing through this area, bathing in the waters that were stained by the turmeric, but not just the turmeric of Radha, but the bhava of Radha. Because turmeric makes yellow color, and Radha's color is also yellow, and her bhava, Radha bhava, was invested in this pukur. So Krishna, while bathing in the pukur, looked at his reflection and saw that his reflection changed. His reflection changed to the color of the water. His reflection became golden in complexion. And he was very astonished. And he became very concerned. What are people going to say? My color is sham, but now in the reflection at least it looks golden. What happened, it's according to this narration, is as a potion, a magical potion in time wears off, so also the golden complexion appearance of Krishna's form also reduced slowly. And then as Krishna himself, he realized, he remembered his real identity. And then Krishna went on searching for his cows. So this is a very interesting, one of many very interesting descriptions of how Krishna, this is one of our starting points. You know who is Krishna, then you know who is Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Chaitanya, here's a painting of Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Chaitanya, when he manifests his form as Lord Chaitanya, he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So, on the one side, there's Radharani, and on the other side, there's Lord Chaitanya. And that who is Lord Chaitanya is. He is Krishna himself, but in the mood of Radharani, that's the devotee, intimate devotee of Krishna, and in the complexion of Radharani. So he, Lord Chaitanya, mentioned this already, Gora Hari, golden complexioned Hari, instead of Shama Hari, Gora Hari. And that's, for many people, that's a mystery. But for the followers of Lord Chaitanya, it's an understanding of who is Lord Chaitanya. Now we're going to do one more, and one more pastime for this evening is a time and a circumstances is from Bhavishya Purana, where there's another day of Brahma when Krishna appears, and they actually become married. And the circumstance goes like this. In this pastime from Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Krishna is not identified as Krishna, but is the son of Nanda, Nanda Baba. And when Nanda's, his occupation was taking care of cows. So on one fine day he's out taking care of cows, and in comes a big storm. And he's very concerned about the cows in the storm. Anything could happen. But at the same time he's concerned about his son. So if he takes his son back to Nandagram, then the cows are not safe, and he takes care of the cows, and Krishna may not be safe. So he's a little perplexed what to do. Just at that time of perplexity, you see this big storm. The cows are running this way, that way. Here comes Radharani. And when Radharani came the pastime depiction. We know that Radha, generally speaking, in each day of Brahma, Radha is a few days younger than Krishna, because Krishna's Janmashtami comes first, and Radhastami comes next. Radha appears. That's usually, that's the principle. But there's a pattern where sometimes, according to Brahmavaivarta Purana, they were in this particular forest, and Radha was a little older. So she came running, and Nanda said, this is the solution. Radharani can take care of Krishna. And this is, and the place is a particular forest, one of the number of forests in Vrindavan, Bandiravan. And when Radha and Krishna are together, then Krishna assumes this larger form, and Brahma makes himself available to perform a marriage of Radha and Krishna. And right at Bandiravan, I'll show you a photograph later, the place Bandiravan is still there. I mean, one of the forests of Vrindavan. And up in this painting, you see some demigods are showering flowers, and Lord Brahma is doing the yajna for the wedding. There's another painting of the same. Now here comes a philosophical question, or maybe even a personal question. Is it true that Radha and Krishna are eternally married in the spiritual world, and that they become married when performing pastimes on earth? Because that's the spiritual reality. Or is it that they're not married, like this reason that Purnamasi didn't allow the marriage to happen when they were little, because there was the pastime where they weren't married. So this is a topic that's discussed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is a biography of Lord Chaitanya. It's in 3 parts, beginning, middle, and end, Adi, Madhya, and Antya, beginning, middle, and end. It sits on your bookshelf this big. It's bigger than Mahabharata. It's very, very extensive, and in some cases it's highly philosophical. So there's commentary on it. That's what makes it so large. It's in Bengali, written by Krishna Das Kaviraj in Vrindavan. So this is from Adi Leela. There's 2 paragraphs from the purport. When Jiva Goswami was still alive, who's Jiva Goswami? I mentioned there were 6. I mentioned Rupa's name. Rupa has an elder brother. His name was Sanatana Goswami. So Rupa and Sanatan. And they had a nephew, that is their brother's son, nephew. His name was Jiva. A family member, 2 uncles and 1 nephew. Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami was the most prolific of all the writers of the Goswamis, like humongous volumes. Humongous. 400,000 verses he wrote, which is, surpasses what Vyasadeva wrote. It's massive. When Jiva Goswami was alive, so this is something like 450 years ago. That's the time period, chronology. Some of his followers disliked the parakiya. The parakiya means Krishna and the gopis were not married, and they would hang out together, which is, culturally a no-no. Young boys, young girls hanging out together in sporting mood. That's a no-no, Vedic culture. And that's parakiya. And so, being very true to Dharma, some of his followers disliked this idea. Jiva Goswami, for their spiritual benefit, supported swakiya, like this description that they were married in Bandiravan and Brahma performed the marriage and they were married. For he could understand that the sahajias means people who take things cheaply, and they imitate boys and girls together, let's dance and let's sport together and enjoy together. Imitating. That's the Sahajya group. So he would understand that Sahajas later would otherwise exploit the parakya, the out-of-marriage relationship of Krishna and the gopis, as they are actually doing at the present time. Foreseeing this future debauchery, Jiva Goswami supported Swakiya, that were actually married. And later, all the Vaishnavas, Acharyas, approved it. However, Jiva Goswami was never opposed to the transcendental parakya, nor has any other Vaishnava disapproved of it. Jiva Goswami strictly followed his predecessor, gurus and Vaishnavas, that's including Rupa Goswami, who was his, and Sanatan, his elder uncles, and so forth. Looking around the room, have I lost anybody? Should I go over this ground another time because somebody's scratching their head saying, what's he talking about? I need to do it again. It's clear? It's clear. Okay. I'll take it one more step. So you've been introduced to the Goswamis. There's Lord Chaitanya, there's Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, his intimate followers, the Goswamis, and then there's the next generation. And some generations following that, there was one great acharya named Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he wrote a book on the topic. And the dharmic brahmanas really disliked it. They disliked it to the degree they planned to murder him. They didn't want this idea being expressed. And they found that he had a practice, that he had a deity, and in a certain time each day he'd go to a certain area where there were abundant flowers and he gathered flowers that he could offer to his deity. So their plan was, when he was going to pick his flowers, he was alone, and they could murder him. So when they came, they saw, and there's Vishwanath Chakravarti, that's his name, Vishwanath Chakravarti, was picking flowers for his deity. And they started rushing towards him. And as they were rushing towards him, he turned around some other trees and he disappeared. They couldn't find him. But they found a young girl who was doing similar activity, gathering flowers, because it's a nice place to gather flowers to offer to their deity. So they were charmed by the beauty of this young girl and said, young lady, we've never seen you in our village before. What are you doing here? And what's your name? She gave her name. She gave her name in Radha's pastimes as Rati Manjari, and I'm here gathering flowers for Srimati Radharani, because Srimati Radharani wants to offer these to her Krishna deity. And she smiled. And as she smiled, poof, all of a sudden, Rati Manjari became Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And they were shocked. And they immediately fell at Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's feet. They shared what their plan had been and why. And Vishwanath said, and they begged forgiveness for their diabolical plan to murder him. And he said, I knew all along what your plan was. It's okay, I forgive you. Just please understand the transcendental nature of Radha and Krishna. It's not as you think. Anyone on his business gathering the flowers. So it's a condensed, for theistic people, for dharmic people, it's an issue. And for a transcendentalist, it depends on the lens through which you look at the relationship of Radha and Krishna. So the followers of Lord Chaitanya look at the lens of Radha and Krishna as like the sun and the sunshine. They're inseparable. The sunshine is never found anywhere without the sun. The sun is not found anywhere without shine. They're inseparable. But they're in two forms, and that the two forms may have pastimes like this, or may have pastimes like that. And it's pastimes of love, where the lover and the beloved are engaging in loving exchanges with one another, and that's Krishna's pastimes. It doesn't apply to people that have material bodies. And people that have material bodies are obliged to follow codes of Dharma. But those that don't have material bodies, the principles of Dharma do not apply. And it takes a transcendental brain to understand that. So Vishwanath was very clear in the transcendentalness of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And one more story, one more pastime. And this is a pastime where Krishna is being challenged by Radharani to prove that Radharani is superior to Mother Jasoda. I'll go quickly. It's a nice pastime though. So there's Radha and Krishna enjoying together. I'll just read. Once, being overwhelmed by love, Krishna told Radharani, the essence of worship is to worship you. If someone worships me without worshiping you, he'll get no result. You are my Maha Bhavamayi, my pleasure-giving potency. My pleasure is your pleasure. Thus, anyone following your worship is very dear to me. I consider them greater than a yogi or tapasvi. Whoever desires to serve me with devotion should accept your name first from a bona fide spiritual master and chant purely to attain perfection. Then only will he be eligible to serve me. If one chants Radha Krishna together, I will be controlled by that most fortunate person. And so there's a painting of someone falling at Radharani's feet. And she's a little shy to receive that kind of reverence. Krishna goes on, you are the chief among the Gopangas. Gopangas, the Angas, the followers of the Gopas and Gopis. You are greater even than Yasomati, that's his mother. At Radharani, what? Your character is like a debauchee. I do not believe your words. Yasomati is your dear mother. How can you say I'm greater than her? What's the reason? So Krishna is given a challenge by Radharani. Very soon you will see, even if she is saying that you are her daughter, very soon you will see that she will come to catch hold of your feet. So there's a nice pastime which I'm going to narrate. There aren't pictures. We're not going to read anything. The pastime goes like this. It's a nice pastime. It's the longer version. There's a... Where's Shatarupa? Did I send that document to you for circulation of Radha being demonstrated by Krishna that she's greater? Didn't send it to you. Okay. There's a nice document. It's a well-known pastime. The pastime goes like this. One time, the gopis were engaged after Krishna had been busy with taking care of the cows during the day. In the afternoon, he came back, and they're engaged in pastimes with Krishna, having danced with Krishna. Mother Yasoda finds out. So Mother Yasoda barges in the midst of their dancing and says, "What's going on? Do you know that Krishna's been all day long herding the calves and cows with his cowherd boyfriends, and he's very tired, and he needs to take some rest, and here you are engaging him in singing and dancing and playing like this? This is not good at all." So the gopis say, "Your Krishna is home asleep. We suggest you go home and you'll find him asleep. And our Krishna is a different Krishna. He looks like your Krishna, but he's a different Krishna. And different people can look alike and have similar names. It's, your Krishna and our Krishna are different." And she was bewildered, so she went back home and she found Krishna asleep in his bed. He was resting just like he was supposed to be doing. And then she became really confused. So she went back and said, "Since your Krishna and my Krishna look just exactly alike, but they're two Krishnas, what if we got these two Krishnas together and they dance together? Wouldn't that be nice?" And the gopis said, you don't understand. Our Krishna is very special. He's killed demons. He straightened out Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma got confused about things, and he's the best of lovers, and he's the exact exalted person. She said, "Well, my son did all those things too. You sure there's two Krishnas? And if we bring them back to dance," the gopi said, "if we bring them back to dance, then how are we going to tell who's your Krishna and who is our Krishna? They look so much alike. But we'll put some big sandalwood paste in the middle of his forehead. That's our Krishna that marks him." So they did that. They went back to Mother Yasoda's home, and they were dancing. The two Krishnas were dancing, and then all of a sudden they became one Krishna. But he had this mark on his forehead. So she panicked. Where'd my Krishna go? And she started feeling great anxiety and separation. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? And Radharani said, "Mother Yasoda, why are you bothering like this? Just look in his room, and he's asleep in his room." So she went back, and he was asleep in his room. But before she went back to find him asleep in the room, there's back and forth, and she was panicking, asking Radha, "Please produce. You're the most honest, trustworthy person. Where's my Krishna? I can't maintain my life." She fell on the ground, unconscious, and Radharani looked at Krishna and said, "What do we do now?" He said, "Don't worry, just whisper in her ear, Krishna's in his room taking rest." So she fell Mother Yasoda fell at Radharani's feet, grasped her feet, and pleaded with her, "Please return my Krishna, please." So then she said, "Well, look in his room." So Radharani said, "Okay, you've defeated me." Mother Yasoda has fallen at your feet. And that proves that she's taking you in the superior position. So that's the nice pastime. We're almost done. This is a reference from Adi Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the author, Krishnadas Kaviraj, is saying Radha is Radha Purna Shakti, Krishna Purna Shaktiman. Dvi vastu bedha nai shastra paraman. Radha has the full power, Krishna is the possessor of full power. The two are not different as evidenced by the revealed scriptures. There are two entities manifesting two forms at one person. Here's last. From Padma Purana. Padma Purana is a very authoritative scripture. Here's the verse where Radha is speaking to Narada Muni. The one who is called Radhika, I am also known as Lalita. I am also the eternal Kama, Kalamaka, the wife of Vasudeva. I am really Ramani, Swarup. I am Sanatani Ramani, the eternal lady. I am Lalita. I am also Krishna in the male form. Oh, Narada, I'm telling you the truth, that there's no difference between me and Krishna. You'll figure that one out. And that's the end. And next time we get together, we're just going to continue on the same theme, and that's the merciful nature of Srimati Radharani. She has many aspects of her personality, and mercy is one of them. She's extremely merciful. So we pray to Radharani for her mercy, to engage us in Krishna's service. That's our Maha Mantra. And in all respects, we're able to go to Krishna, closer to Krishna, because of the mercy of Radharani. And we'll hear some nice pastimes tomorrow evening on the merciful nature of Radharani. Now, I don't know how many of the persons who are here today will be with us tomorrow, but if you're not able to be with us tomorrow, it's a nice series. You can just hear the recordings. Any comments or questions?
She didn't know that it was Radharani.
She didn't know what?
I mean, she thought she's falling at the feet of Krishna.
Yeah. It's a pastime where, the yoga maya feature of Krishna can conceal and reveal both. And so, in this particular pastime, who is Krishna is concealed. She doesn't understand this one entity. She thinks, my Krishna, my son. She's Mother Jasoda thinking, my son. And then there's this other. So it's a pastime. So yoga maya is nurturing or facilitating the pastime. So she's remembering and forgetting according to the influence of yoga maya. Now we remember and forget according to the influence of Mahamaya. And there's a different energy. It works very differently. The difference is one brings one closer to love for Krishna. That's Yogamaya. There's many nice examples of Yogamaya. For example, here's two for examples. There's the one for example is your pastime I know that you're familiar with. That's when Krishna manifested himself as all the cowherd boys for 1 year. Balaram, covered by Yogamaya, didn't know what was going on. They were just cowherd boys, his friends. Looked just like, talked just like. They're his cowherd boyfriends. But they weren't his cowherd boyfriends. They were Krishna's manifestation, looking like the cowherd boys. But Balaram didn't know. How did he not know? He's omniscient. Yogamaya. Towards the end of that 1 year, the curtain of Yogamaya was pulled back. Then he started to pick, 1 + 1, 2 + 2. He started to figure out the puzzle. So Yogamaya concealed, Yogamaya revealed, to match the pastime of Krishna. Same. There's other examples, but I won't go the other examples. What is Yogamaya? It's an energy of Krishna that nurtures bringing his loved ones closer to him. That's what Yogamaya is. It's a very nice, simple definition. And if you want to hear more about it, you listen to the recordings of the Gitanagari retreat over Memorial Day weekend. And that's a central topic. It's something I spoke about for one full class. And then the other person who was speaking was also speaking on that, Garuda Prabhu. What Yogamaya is and how it works. And it facilitates Krishna's pastimes. Anyone else? Shari.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for this wonderful pastimes, especially the last one you shared. This is the first time I'm hearing those pastimes. Falling at the feet of Radharani. It was very interesting. My question is, at the starting of the class, you talked about that 5 girls.
Talked about 5 girls.
Yeah. So those are, all those girls became as gopis and in the supporting Radharani's pastime?
Some were in Chandravali's group. Some were in Radharani's group. There's 2 groups, you know.
Yeah. So, but they all become as gopis.
They all became gopis. They're eternally gopis. They just manifested that themselves that way, according to Rupa Goswami's Lita Madhava.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Pretty elevated stuff, huh? Is your head spinning? No? It's good. Okay, good. Good. Anybody? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So what are the different sources we can learn more about Srimati Radharani?
You want to know,
Scriptures.
This is your question from yesterday.
Oh.
She asked the same question yesterday. What are some books that I can go to where I can find out more about these wonderful pastimes? That's your question? There's several. You want some names? You have a good memory? You're going to write it down. Okay. Here's an super easy one. One ISKCON sannyasi named Bhakti Purushottam Swami has written 2 books on Radharani and pastimes of Radharani and the tattva of Radharani and similar things. 2 books. First one, then it was so popular he did a second one. Bhakti Purushottam Swami. And the publisher is the Mayapur Press, because he's based in Mayapur. So they printed the thing. It's online, it's immediately available. Then there are other authors that like Radharani. One of those authors that likes Radharani is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. You remember his name?
Yes.
So he's the one that they wanted to murder him. That's Vishwanath. He wrote a book. He wrote several books on Radharani, but one of the books he wrote is Chamatkar Chandrika. Chamatkar Chandrika. There's 4 pastimes, very different, very interesting, describing Radharani's pastimes in Vrindavan with Krishna. Chamatkar Chandrika, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. There's another very wonderful author, another one of the 6 Goswamis. So far we've touched on 3. Rupa Sanatan Jiva, here's another name. Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami was a lover of Radha, and he looked up to Rupa Goswami as like his Shiksha Guru. because Raghunath was younger, Rupa was elder. Besides elder, he was highly learned, etc. So Rupa wrote a tax pastime where Krishna is taxing the gopis, carrying the dairy products, and he wanted to take tax. So Rupa Goswami wrote such a book, Raghunath Das wrote such a book. Dana Keli Kamudi. Dana Keli means pastime, tax pastime, by Raghunath Das Goswami. There's a similar one by Rupa Goswami. And then there's another one that's called, in English, which we call it the Pearl Pastime. I'm going to narrate that. Mukta Charita. You want some titles? There's a title for you. Mukta Charita, the Pearl Pastime. Very nice pastime. Very short, very sweet, very charming. Mukta Charita. And there's many others, but that'll keep you busy for a while.
Are these from Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Maharaj, or revealed pastimes?
That's referred to in Bhakti Purushottam Swami's book. It's a well-referenced story. I don't have a copy of Brahma Vaivarta Purana, but it's the story, the narration is referenced in many places. That's one of the places.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, if you could help me phrase my question a little bit. It's a two-part question. One is, we are blessed to have Nitai Gaur Nataraj and Krishna Balram in our temple.
Where's Radharani?
Yes, how can we actively remember Srimati Radharani?
Well, in your home.
Sorry?
In your home.
Oh.
No. Maybe the day will come when there's a new facility and Radharani will appear in the new facility. Maybe. Maybe not. In your home.
Okay. And the other question I had was kind of related to the deity worship side of Radha Krishna deity worship. You were mentioning Radharani she's known to be more merciful than Krishna, but at the same time we hear especially that Radha Krishna worship is more stricter and things like that too. So how do we put the two of them together?
When you have intimacy, there may be a side it's casual, and there may be a side that's strict when there's intimacy. So intimacy of deity worship, particularly in the beginning, it's very strict because you're dealing with Radha Krishna. So sit straight because you're dealing with Radha Krishna. And as one becomes more advanced, superlatively advanced, there may be less strictness and more intimacy. But access into intimacy comes through the channel of the vidhis and nishetas, the do's and the do-nots. And one who's not ready to go through the do's and the do-nots has no access to the intimacy. But when there's intimacy, it doesn't mean there's neglect, it's just intimacy. I'll give an example. There's a nice devotee couple, they're disciples of Tamal Krishna Maharaj in Houston. And in their home, the wife has been worshipping Radha Krishna deities 7 times a day, as is done in temples, at her home. And she's devoted, like to the max. And then when she's unable, her husband fills in for her, for, womanly reasons. But, they maintain that fixed for like 15 years. So, I asked her, because of that intimacy of your service, you must have some realizations. She remained silent. She looked at her husband. He nodded. It was like, go ahead, tell him. And she said, because I'm very careful with the worship of Radha Krishna. When I take Krishna's flute out, before each offering, I place it in a certain place. The offering is made, and when the offering is taken away, the flute goes back in Krishna's hand. For 15 years. It's like, so one time I couldn't find the flute. And I panicked. Looked here, looked there, looked here, looked there. Called my husband. Then I looked at the deity and he was holding the flute. And then she said it happened 3 times. He wanted me to know. So that's her experience, and someone else's experience is going to be what their experience is. But Krishna may sometimes engage in intimate exchange with a devotee to let them know. Sometimes this and sometimes that. But even when it's the strict, there's intimacy. And what doesn't drop the intimacy, doesn't drop the strictness when there's intimacy. Now there are such things as very, very, very elevated Vaishnavas that worship in a spontaneous way. And that's an exception. And that may happen for those that are in a spontaneous mood of worship. But otherwise one follows very strictly. And then there's an intimacy within that strictness. For example, there's some other examples. Okay, one question out. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, so we don't have program.